Story time! Hi friends. I feel like I haven't talked to you in such a long time. Story time! I packaged my coffee a little different. I have this cute little thing. I'm closing this. I put these cute shelves and I have like brown sugar. I have regular sugar, and then this is where I store my coffee, right? So I ran out of coffee today, and then I decided that I should fill it up. But during the refill process, I realized this would be a great story time, because the coffee I'm using is from Vietnam. I actually have coffee from a couple places. This is from Costa Rica. This is one of the best coffee I've ever had. It's sweet. This one's called the Pea Berry. I literally went to visit the coffee farm. So this is Café Tres Generaciones, so 3 generations. God, it's so good. So yeah, this is authentic Costa Rican coffee, and the Pea Berry is the sweetest roast. But that's not what I'm gonna use today, because that one needs some blending. So those are beans. But I wanted to talk to you about my Vietnamese coffee. I love Vietnam. It's funny, in the ingredients, it has a very similar, it has the pea berry bean, which is the same similar bean to Costa Rica. Very fascinating, very fascinating. But it's a mix of Arabica bean, Robusta bean, and pea berry bean. So there's multiple. I don't know if you can read it. And then a classic in the States for me is Café Bustelo. Okay, but why am I talking about coffee? It made me want to share a story about Vietnam. I was reflecting. It wasn't this time last year. It was a couple months from now. So in a couple months, it'll be a year since I went. But I had the honor and privilege of being able to travel with some folks, do some video work. I do video work for a living. And my God, the proper way to make this is to use one of the little like metal thingies, you know what I'm talking about? And then you pour it in there. But this is gonna have to work for today. No, in Vietnam, I was able to do video work. But the crazy thing about the honor and privilege of being able to do video work was the fact that the people were just so sweet and so incredible and so kind and so filled with just peace. Like literally who they were, the way they were, their way of life. Now, it is a communist country, and so there's definitely limitations to the people, and that makes me very sad. And I was able to interact with people in North Vietnam and South Vietnam, and was able to talk to people who fought in the war, like the Vietnam War, was able to visit orphanages where you can obviously see that children or post generations, right, are impacted by Agent Orange, which is, if you don't know your research, I highly recommend that you do some research. But in the Vietnam War, there's obviously a lot of chemicals and a lot of things that happen. And so some of the secondary things is there's deformity in children, there's syphilitis in children. That's like the swelling of the head. And I really got to experience that firsthand in Vietnam. But this morning, as I was reflecting, as I'm making my coffee, I was thinking about also the simplicity of living with a mindset that's very village oriented. And what I mean by that is like the way they eat. Everything is familial, family style. So you're sharing stuff, you know, you have a big pho bowl, you have a big like broth, and then you all are picking and serving yourselves. So every meal was with people. And I also was reflecting on there was just such deep appreciation in gifts, like just not limited by finances or circumstances, but even the coffee, this is how we're tying in the coffee I'm using, was a gift. Before I left, they sent me home with bags of coffee to just, thank us for being there. And I was reflecting that in the American culture, sometimes we're super protective. We're like protective of our space, we're protective of our energy, we're protective of what kind of love we want to offer, because there's this desire to have it be reciprocal and reciprocated. So there's this conditionality in the way we love. And whereas opposed to in Vietnam, I just saw this unconditional kind of love and this willingness and longing to share. You know, there was one space in particular that we visited that obviously I'm a guest, but I'm a videographer. So I'm like, I'm not a part of the crew, the fun, how do I say this? The elite? I don't know. Like, just the people we were traveling with were incredible, and I was humbled and I was honored, but my job was to film. But they had gifts for all of us, and it was towels. I have a gray towel upstairs, and I'm not getting rid of my towel. But just the beauty of, I don't think I put enough water in here. I gotta put a little more, I'm sorry. The beauty of giving love, the beauty of offering what you have and not thinking from a mindset of I don't have enough, not thinking from the mindset of, well, if I give you this, you're gonna give me this. But the mindset of like, I want to have your back. I don't even know. That's not even the words maybe that would be used, but like the mindset of longing of wanting to show love and gratitude and sharing. I think I'm reflecting on that this morning because this summer I live in a little bit of a new space, and I see the individualisticness of America. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not even naming good or bad. I'm just stating an observation. But there's this individualisticness of we hang out with our own people, and, like not the communal, like, hey, do you all want to do this? Do we all want to? And I think I value community and value coming together, sharing, honor, right? Honor and generosity from a communal, and I'm gonna say even tribal type of living, and that there's more when there's more people, because there's more resources, there's more to offer, more coming together, more options, right? When you're trying foods. And so today, as I was reflecting, making my coffee, I wanted to encourage us. That's the point of these videos. Sometimes when I post videos, I'm like, should I delete them? Like, am I making any sense? Is it a value? But if it can help shift the mindset to make the world a better place, I don't want to minimize speaking. But today I was thinking, how can I bring some of the Vietnamese culture that I learned out there here? And I think one of it is naming it and sharing, hey, an observation from the cultures that I see. An observation is that we're so individualistic and we're so seeking out more money and more this and bigger. It's weird. It's like we want bigger homes with less people in them. It doesn't make sense. Or we want more options. And are we sharing all those options with other people? Where I love that even when there isn't much, there's an ability to share and love and a multiplication. And that's a type of love that can't be bought, and it just has to be taught and caught. And I'm going to tie this into the Bible because that's who I am. But I was thinking about the loaves, the fish and the loaves, right? If you take a look at that story where they fed the 5,000, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure was more than 5,000 because there was women and children. And I just think back in the day, the way they counted folks. But it's different. That's neither here nor there. If you take a look and listen and you reread it, and I should have prepared and read my Bible and brought the story, made this whole teaching moment, but this is coming from the top of my mind and my head and my heart. But the disciples are even kind of like, what do you mean? How are we going to offer? How are we like Jesus is like, how much do you have there? Okay, feed the people. And the disciples are like, wait, what? How are we going to share this? And right, they raise up the basket and there's plenty. It says everybody was satisfied and there was left over. Everybody was fulfilled. And I think sometimes, as much as we have so much in the States, we operate as if we are limited to the amount of fish and bread we have. When the truth is, when you operate in faith, there is multiplication to be had. When you are willing to offer what you have to others, there's a multiplication process. Everybody can be satisfied. Everybody can be fulfilled. And that is what I missed and what I saw and what I experienced in Vietnam. In the midst of hard times and tragedies and low economic resources. I visited a lot of areas though, so not every area is like that. There's some beautiful touristic areas, but if you visit certain districts, there is communal, street vendors and just survival, but communal helping one another. There's enough. We have enough, guys. For us in the States, I'm talking to us Americans, we have enough. We have plenty. Let's share. Let's be generous. Let's not act like everything is separate. And I sometimes don't know. We can only do what we can with the space of influence we have, and sometimes I wish I could do more. But I just want to encourage us and remind us that we live in a space where we have abundance. And when we trust God, when we feel like we don't have enough, and when we trust God to reach the masses greater than what we have, what you have in your hand is enough because God can multiply it. And what you have in your hand can satisfy you and others. And God knows how to move in the midst of what we have to meet the needs. And part of faith is bridging the gap between what is tangible and what is kind of risky. Oh, that kind of doesn't make sense. How can I? You can with the power of God, and that's how he works. It says faith is hope for the things unseen. So they didn't see 5,000 fishes and 5,000 pieces of bread. They only saw this amount, but they had the faith, and Jesus multiplied it, and it reached out and served others. And I believe we can do the same, whether you're a Christian or not. I believe that the principle of sharing and multiplication does apply. So that's my little mini message since I hadn't been on for a while. I hope it encourages you. I love you. Remember, you're valuable. You're beautiful. You're incredible. And if God gave you a pulse, he gave you a purpose. Thanks for listening. Toodles.